Welcome back to Campfire Whispers, your daily fix of horror stories, unsolved mysteries, and straight-up unbelievable content. My name is Eki, and today I'm sharing a story called The Man Beneath the Stairs. Connor had always considered himself a realist. He didn't scare easily, didn't believe in ghosts, and had little patience for stories that couldn't be explained by logic or science. That changed when he moved into the old colonial house on Brookridge Lane. The house was a steal. 3 bedrooms, a spacious backyard, and located in a quiet town surrounded by forest. The listing had been up for months without a single bite. The real estate agent, a jittery woman named Karen, seemed almost relieved when Connor showed interest. She mentioned, offhandedly, that the property had a history, but Connor, confident in his skepticism, waved it off. He needed a fresh start, and this house was the blank slate he craved. Connor had grown up in group homes, bounced around between relatives, and eventually aged out of the system. As a teenager, he'd clung to structure, excelling in school and keeping his head down. By his mid-20s, he had saved enough to buy his first home. Brookridge Lane felt like the reward for his discipline and restraint. He was ready to leave the past behind. The first week was uneventful. He spent his days unpacking, painting, and exploring the surrounding woods with his dog, Jasper. But on the 7th night, just as he was drifting to sleep, he heard it. A soft tapping. It was faint but rhythmic, like someone gently knocking. It came from beneath the floorboards, directly under his bed. He sat up, heart thudding, and listened. The tapping stopped. He blamed the old pipes, or maybe the house settling. Old homes made noise. He repeated this to himself until he fell asleep. But the next night, the tapping returned. This time, it was louder, closer. Connor got out of bed and pressed his ear to the floor. There was a pause, then 3 slow knocks. He leapt back. Jasper growled softly, staring at the floor as if he saw something Connor couldn't. The following morning, Connor went into the basement to investigate. It was unfinished, dusty, and filled with the scent of mildew and old wood. As he examined the ceiling beams, something odd caught his eye. A small door, no more than 3 feet high, tucked beneath the staircase. He hadn't noticed it before. It looked like a crawl space, nailed shut with rusted boards. Curiosity gnawed at him. He fetched a crowbar, pried the boards loose, and opened the door. A wave of cold air spilled out. Inside was a narrow, dirt tunnel leading into darkness. The walls were lined with scratch marks, deep, desperate gouges. He shone his flashlight inside, but couldn't see the end. Jasper barked, backing away. Connor closed the door, re-nailed the boards, and tried to forget about it. But that night, the knocking returned. Louder, angrier. It didn't come from under the bed. It came from inside the walls. Connor barely slept. The next day, he spoke with his neighbor, Mrs. Aldridge, an elderly woman who had lived on Brookridge Lane for over 50 years. Her expression darkened when he mentioned the house. "They never stay long," she said. "Who?" "The people who move in there. Always complain of noises, cold spots, shadows. But the worst is the man beneath the stairs." Connor forced a laugh. "That's just a local legend, right?" Mrs. Aldridge shook her head. "I saw him once, when I was a girl. He watches and waits." That night, Connor nailed his bedroom door shut. He barricaded the basement. He left every light on. At 3:03 a.m., he woke to silence. Not quiet, silence. The kind that presses on your eardrums and makes your heartbeat sound like a drum. Jasper whined at the foot of the bed. Then came the scraping, like fingernails against wood. It came from under the bed. Connor leaned over slowly, flashlight in hand. He lifted the bed skirt. Nothing. Then the light flickered. When it came back on, a pale hand was reaching from beneath the floorboards. Connor screamed and stumbled back, hitting the wall. Jasper barked furiously, teeth bared. The floorboards began to rise, as though something beneath them was pushing upward. Connor grabbed Jasper and fled the room. As he reached the hallway, the lights exploded in a burst of glass and sparks. He ran to the front door. Locked. He hadn't locked it. The scraping returned, this time from the ceiling. In a panic, Connor fled to the basement, hoping to find a window or another way out. But when he reached the bottom of the stairs, the small door under the steps was open. A figure crouched inside, pale, hairless. Its eyes were sunken, but gleaming. Its mouth stretched into a wide grin, too many teeth gleaming in the dark. "You opened the door," it rasped. Connor turned to run, but the basement door slammed shut above him. The lights flickered, then died. Jasper growled, standing between Connor and the figure. The creature crawled forward on all fours, movements jerky and unnatural. "You let me out. Now let me in," Connor screamed. The last thing he saw was Jasper lunging. When the police arrived the next day, alerted by neighbors who heard screams, the house was empty. No sign of Connor. No dog. Just scratch marks on the basement stairs and a single flashlight still glowing. The boards on the small door under the stairs had been nailed shut again. But that wasn't the end. A week later, the house went up for sale again. No mention of the incident. Just motivated seller in the listing description. The new buyers were a young couple expecting their first child. They were thrilled by the price, by the charm, by the space. They moved in quickly. The first night was peaceful. The second, they noticed a strange draft coming from beneath the staircase. On the third, they heard footsteps in the walls. The husband, Mark, dismissed it as old house noises. His wife wasn't so sure. Their dog, a golden retriever named Daisy, refused to enter the basement at all. One night, after putting away boxes, Mark found the basement door slightly ajar. He knew he had shut it. When he went to close it, he saw something move in the corner of his eye. Something pale, slithering just out of view. He froze. The next morning, Mark found scratches on the nursery wall. Tiny, deliberate markings that hadn't been there before. And in the center of the crib, a small, antique-looking toy soldier, something they had never owned. Terrified, the couple installed cameras throughout the house. That night, at 2:47 a.m., the motion detector in the basement was triggered. The footage showed nothing at first, just empty stairs. Then, from the shadows, a shape unfolded itself, crawling, contorting, almost unfolding from the walls like a grotesque spider. The thing turned to face the camera. Its eyes were black hollows, its mouth still grinning far too wide. And behind it, for a brief second, there was someone else. A man, disheveled, hollow-eyed, wearing a torn hoodie. It was Connor. He didn't speak. He just stared as if pleading. Then the image cut to black. The couple fled the house that night and never returned. To this day, the home on Brookridge Lane sits abandoned. The grass is overgrown, windows shattered by wind and time. But neighbors whisper that sometimes, late at night, if you walk past the old colonial, you'll hear tapping. Sometimes from the floor, sometimes from the ceiling. And sometimes, if you're very quiet, you can hear a voice, low and desperate, saying, "Don't open the door. Please don't open the door." If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Join me next time for more unbelievable tales on Campfire Whispers.